Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have to give the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we do have thunderstorm warnings issued across much of southern England through tonight into tomorrow morning. We'll have a look at those thunderstorms in detail from both the latest UKV and the Ciaran run, so they could be pretty intense indeed, especially in the south and southeastern corner of England. We'll also look at the temperatures over the next 5 days as it is remaining fairly warm before it does turn a little bit cooler into next week. And of course we'll have a look at the longer range as normal, and we'll be able to see what the longer charts do have in store. It is looking very mixed bag at this stage, still generally looking average to above average in terms of temperatures and hopefully minimising precipitation in the longer term, but we're not particularly confident on that at this stage, with still some other runs showing cooler and more unsettled conditions. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see this is quite extensive weather front that stretches all the way from parts of eastern Republic of Ireland to North Wales down towards the Mediterranean. Now this is a cool, cold. Now this weather front is dividing the very warm air to the east and the slightly less warm air to the west. And it's on this eastern flank we could see some pretty severe thunderstorms taking off. We are likely to see across much of southern and southwestern England quite a lot of rain, but less likely to be those sort of very intense thundery downpours. You can see on the eastern edge of this weather front, the radar isn't particularly highly detailed here across northern France, but you can start to see some really intense thunderstorms starting to break out across towards the south of Paris, and these will be moving northwards and could really engage as they enter across the English Channel towards parts of Kent there. As we'll have a look at these short range charts in a minute, it is looking like it could get really intense around the 1 or 2 a.m. point, so still plenty more hours to go. But you could be woken up this evening to some really intense lightning, maybe even some hail, and it's definitely looking pretty likely many areas are going to see some pretty torrential rain. Now this is getting fueled by warm air that is moving in from the east, and you can see it here feeding in from northern Europe. Across eastern England today it's actually been fairly warm, 20 degrees, but to the west much cooler, and you can see that across parts of France. Northeast France very warm, low 20s to mid 20s, further southwards and east and westwards, much cooler, and this is all due to the clash of those air masses, and along that air mass boundary is where we're seeing heavy rain and the thunderstorms taking off. Over the course of the next few days, once those thunderstorms eventually die out, we are still likely to remain fairly warm as this warm air mass does win out, before eventually we do see a transition later through the weekend into the start of next week. Now, if you look at the weather warnings, we have 2 thunderstorm warnings issued across southern England. We've got the first warning that starts at 8 p.m, so pretty much as I'm recording this, and goes till 8 a.m. You can see here, though, mainly in the description here, it's talking about heavy rain. Heavy rain is expected with a chance of thunderstorms. So real emphasis there more on the rainfall instead of the lightning and thunder. You can see here 20 to 40 millimeters quite widely, maybe 50 millimeters in a few places, and much of this rain will fall over a 2 to 3 hour period. You can see it is all about heavy rain, most likely over northern and eastern parts of the warning area, but there's a chance that rain will be accompanied by thunderstorms and frequent lightning. It is moderate or medium in the impact matrix, and very low in likelihood. But we've got this warning further eastwards across much of central, southern and eastern England. This is from 11 p.m, so slightly later. Thunderstorms are likely at times later this evening and overnight, leading to travel disruption and flooding. So no emphasis on heavy rain there, as it is likely to be mostly from these very intense downpours. You can see here it is not likely to last as long, maybe an hour or two this rain will fall in, but 15 to 25 millimeters, hail and gusty winds with maybe even some frequent lightning. Again, medium impact, low likelihood. So although both are thunderstorm warnings, the western warning is mainly for more prolonged heavy rain, whereas the eastern warning is more for those immediate effects of thunderstorms. Now, if you do have a look at the latest UKV now, You can see those showers and those storms slowly edge northwards, and you can see that we do see that heavy rain moving in at the moment. And then around that midnight period, we see those heavy thunderstorms breaking out across many southern and southeastern areas. Some of them look like French imports, where they form over northern France and then get shipped our way, but quite a few of them are actually looking like they're more homegrown. That was looking less likely a few days ago, but definitely has increased in likelihood over the past 24 hours. And I think that's why we've seen those warnings issued. So it could be pretty intense. Further westwards, the thunderstorms do lose their intensity, but do remain as large areas of very heavy rain. So it's those western areas that actually could see the most amount of rain over sort of a 12-hour period. Eventually, as we head into the morning and the afternoon, all those storms and areas of rain do move away, but the afternoon is a bit dry with that rain now across southern parts of the Republic of Ireland. For most, though, it's a pretty decent day, maybe a few more showers and isolated storms breaking out in the afternoon, but nothing too crazy. As we enter Friday, we could see another area of heavy rain, or maybe even some more storms moving in from the east through the morning and lasting through the afternoon before dissipating away. And then as we head into the weekend, we start to see a transition through Saturday night into Sunday. We start to see rain moving up from the south, and this is as we start to see low pressure and cooler conditions trying to push back in. Now, if you look at the mixed level Cape, you can see there is a moderate amount of Cape this evening. Not absolutely massive compared to what we can see, but for the time of year, first day of May, pretty high levels of Cape are being shipped in through this evening. If you look at the pure upper air temperatures, you can see it is warm this evening. Upper air temperatures getting towards the low teens. That is pretty high, or even very high for the time of year, but don't last all too long. By Thursday to Friday, they're slowly getting swept away. And into the weekend, you can see that transition to slightly less warm conditions, still probably average to above average. Now, if you have a look at the 2-meter temperatures, you can see through this afternoon, temperatures got up to towards 20 degrees in the east, but only low teens in the west under the rain and cloud. Into tomorrow, it could be another warm day, especially in the east. 22, 23 degrees is plausible, but again, it all be dependent on the cloud and lingering rain and, of course, sunshine amounts. As we head into Friday, again, temperatures could be very up and down, but we start to see that transition. Yes, we still have some warmer air around, but we're starting to see more cloud and more rain. And into Saturday, look at that. We've actually got decent conditions, but only 17, 18 degrees as those cooler air masses moving in. And as we head into Sunday, best conditions actually in the north and west, where we have rain and cloud further southwards and eastwards. Now, if you compare to the Rome run, this is the full sort of Northern Europe view. You can see through this evening that rain moving in into western parts, and then eventually the big cluster of thunderstorms arrives through the evening for many southern and eastern areas. It looks like a bit of a line of storms, a big cluster moving through around the midnight point for Kent, then moving further inland throughout sort of 1, 2 and 3 a.m. before slowly dissipating and moving northwards and eastwards as just a general area of rain. And you can see for the rest of the day, we could see more areas of rain, maybe even thunderstorms again through Thursday afternoon, but we're really not expecting anything too major. Apart from what we're seeing tonight. Maybe some more, as I said, later in the week. But at the moment, high levels of Cape, high levels of instability and warmth, and that is causing some big thunderstorms later tonight. Now, if you have a look at the latest GFS and see what is in store over the course of the next couple of weeks, you can see the low pressure out to our south pulling in easterly winds, but it's warm easterly winds with low pressure to the south fueling those thunderstorms. As we head through Friday into Saturday, we continue to see some low pressure around, but high pressure still overall is dominating. Into the longer term, high pressure does maintain its strength, but actually the GFS starts to change that wind direction into a northeasterly. So although it's still fairly dry, it would be a lot colder. Look at that, the last bit of remnants of cold air keeps getting pushed our way. Not a good sign at all if you want something warmer through the middle part of May. Again, it is a bit of an outlier, as we'll see from the ensembles in a minute, but we can't completely discount it. And it definitely would bring the risk of frosts and just generally pretty cold conditions. If we do zoom into the United Kingdom, look, you can see the 2-meter temperatures in a day hardly getting into double digits in the north, further southwards 10 or 11 degrees. And overnight, look at that, widely down to freezing. Would actually be frigid out there if that did occur, but I do think there is a pretty low chance at this stage, but not a 0% chance. Now, if you compare to the GM, again, very similar setup over the next few days. Eventually, low pressure breaking through into the weekend and start of next week. And then again, we see high pressure building in. It is to our north, but it is pulling more of an easterly in, which still is bringing some cooler air, but it's not quite as cold as if we saw a northerly wind. It would still be chilly though at the surface with cloud pushing in off the North Sea, but you can see temperatures more around mid to low teens. So still probably below average, but much better than if we saw a direct northerly. If you compare finally to the ECMWF, again, very similar over the next couple of days, eventually low pressure breaking through, and then high pressure building in once again. And you can see again trying to pull in an easterly, but at this stage we're actually still firmly under average air masses. Now, to finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see a lot of warmth around the next couple of days, slowly dropping off into the weekend, but still leaving pretty high amounts of precipitation as we continue to see showers developing through the weekend. And then longer term, we generally average to above average, really only by a degree or two, but nonetheless still looking better than it's been. You can see those more anomalous runs like the GFS operational run showing colder conditions, but you can see they are pretty small number, even less than there were yesterday. So perhaps that sort of scenario has decreased in its probability. You can see precipitation is looking much lower as we head from around the 8th, 9th of May onwards. Again, good signs. 2 meter temperatures on the up, which is expected for this time of year, and by the middle of the month we could be looking at high teens or even 20 degrees most days. If we do finish by looking at the latest ECMWF ensembles, fairly similar. Yes, some colder runs in the longer term, but majority are average to above average by a good degree or two, and we have got much lower precipitation. So longer term, we are seeing positive signals of better conditions. No heat wave, nothing like that, but definitely average to above average and looking increasingly dry, which definitely, as I said, is a positive. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure you stay safe if you are in those areas affected by thunderstorms this evening, and I'll see you again for another video soon.